Hey everyone, it's Eric with FirearmTutorials.com, and today we are going to revisit the H&K USP-SD. This is the tactical 9mm version from HK, and it is being replaced by the H&K USP Tactical 9mm for the year 2015. So the new model will have the tactical roll mark like the traditional tactical models in 40 and 45. It'll come with the match trigger, and it'll come with the O-ring engagement on the barrel, so I'll show you that. But let's go ahead and take a look at something I didn't do the first time around. We'll do a breakdown so I can show you some of the internals of this gun and how they differ from the regular USP. Okay, so the breakdown is pretty simple. Obviously, we just want to make sure it's not loaded. Take the magazine out. Then you want to line up the little notch here and push this lever, pull it straight out, pull it straight off, and here you've got the internals and you've got the slide. So this is your basic field strip. You take out the recoil spring, barrel slides up like such, and that's your basic field strip. So at this point you would kind of just clean these internals out, wipe the spring down, clean the barrel, and then clean the frame out here. That's going to get dirty, especially if you're shooting suppressed. Now, one of the things that differs for the SD model or tactical model versus the standard USP, if we look at the recoil spring here, so this is straight out of the SD. The new tactical model will have the same one. Now here's the just regular USP. Now if you look closely, you'll notice there's a little ridge here, and if I compare the opening here where the slide release lever goes through, you can see that it's larger on the regular USP model. This is what's called the tactical recoil spring, and the changes made here are to compensate for the additional pressure if you're going to be shooting this obviously with a suppressor. So important thing to notice there, if you don't have an official SD or tactical model and you just go with a threaded barrel, make sure that you get the recoil spring, because it will increase the wear and eventually damage your frame if you're not using the correct spring. In addition, let's look at the barrel here. So on the SD model, you get a little bit longer barrel, and obviously it's threaded here. 13.5 by 1 left-hand threads. So these are metric threads. And then you see that it's a little bit longer than the just standard 9mm barrel. Now in regards to the O-ring, you see here this is from a USP 45 tactical. You see how it's got that O-ring engagement where the slide locks up. It's supposed to increase accuracy. So the SD does not have an O-ring, but the new tactical models will. So that's a well-deserved change. The internals, there's really nothing different about this at all. The SD model does not come with the match trigger. I installed this myself, so you see we've got the over travel screw there. And but new for 2015, HK decided to just go uniform across all the different calibers. So you now have the match trigger in the 9mm. The only other thing I added here is the ambidextrous safety for you left-handed shooters. It's a good upgrade for me because I can just operate it with my thumb there. If you're into using the gun with both hands, that's a good feature too. It's fairly simple to install. There's another video I have that shows you how to do that. I've got some decal grip on here. The checkering on this I don't think is the greatest. You've got some aggressive texture back here. You've got a nice good size tang here to get your hand underneath. You see I've added some just this rubber grip tape here just to give me a reference point when I'm shooting. My thumb always stays right there. So the frame feels great. In addition, you see I've put the jet funnel kit on here. Basically what this does is give you a larger opening to insert your magazine. You see here this is just the standard USP version, so you've got a little bit more play there. It makes it a little bit easier when you're inserting magazines. You see you've got a fair bit of room for error there if you want to insert it. The only downside with doing this jet funnel kit is that you can't use just the regular 15 round mag. So you see here, so here I've got a loaded magazine. You see there's actually a live round in there, but you see it doesn't come up to the top of the frame enough to actually engage to chamber around or anything like that. So once you put the jet funnel kit on here, you're pretty much stuck using these 18 round magazines, or you can go with the long one. This is a 31 or 32 round magazine. In addition, these jet funnel magazines have metal floor plates, so they fall out of here a little bit faster, but they are expensive. So okay, so as far as the functionality goes with this fire control group, you've got safe, fire, here's safe, fire, and then a decocker, which just puts the hammer in a half-cocked or a decocked state. I have another video that talks about that in detail, but as far as the sights here, this is the only thing that I didn't like about this, is I've switched these out to the Heine straight 8 suppressor sights. You can see there's just a 2-dot setup. They're a little narrower on top of the slide, and these are pretty durable. So if we look at the construction of these, they're all one piece, at least on the back here, and it screws down. The front is just kind of shimmed in there, but these are definitely ones that you can, catch on stuff to rack the slide if you need to. You don't have to worry about them breaking. I'm not a fan of the all black sights. So if you see here, these are the factory ones, and then obviously the one that I replaced it with. But, it was harder to pick up pretty much any dark targets with that. And I actually did end up breaking off the rear blade of the factory sight, so that's why I went with something a little more durable. These are night sights, but they're not the best. I feel like these dots are just a little too small, and you really can't pick them up that well at night unless it's really, really just pitch black dark. So as far as shooting the gun, I've got 2 accessories here that I like to use most of all. These stream lights I really like because they're easy to take on and off. You'll see here I've got the GG&G rail adapter. That's one of the only things I hate about the USP, as it comes with no Picatinny rail. You have to use some type of aftermarket rail. There are a few lights that will fit the native rail mount on this gun, but I just don't like the technology. There's some older lights, and with this you can really put anything you want on there. But I like this because A, it gives you the ability to use a light if you need it, and B, it adds a little more weight to the end of the gun, so it reduces a little bit of recoil. If we look at the suppressor, this is the Octane. I've covered this several times before, but kind of get it going, and there we go. Thread it in there. Just make sure that it locks up tight like such. Now as you start shooting this, it will eventually come loose, so you need to make sure that you're checking about every magazine or so that you put through to make sure that it's still tight. You'll usually notice when it starts to get loose because the accuracy will start to suffer once it starts to come loose. And when I say come loose, I'm talking, a quarter of a turn. It doesn't take much at all. But this particular one, it's not too heavy on the front of the gun. So if we look at some footage of firing this weapon, you can see that that big recoil spring really does a good job of mitigating the recoil. I can shoot it fairly quickly and still be almost right back up on target. Suppressed, it does even better. So if we look here, you can see the additional gas coming out of the breech from the suppressor, but it's not something that's really going to change the way that you shoot the gun. You still have a good sight picture, you have less recoil, and it's just really fun to shoot, especially if you've got a big long magazine full of ammo. So if we look at some follow-up shots here, like I said, the recoil is negligible on this, and you can really put the gun back on target pretty quickly. Here's a quick burst I put only at 7 yards, but still I was able to keep it, within a fist-sized group, so effective nonetheless. MSRP is around $1,000, give or take, and there's not a lot of accessories out there. This is not like a Glock where you're going to find all kinds of different accessories for it, little cosmetic things. None of that stuff really applies here. The only accessories you're really going to get come directly from HK, things like extended magazine releases, ambidextrous safeties, and they're all expensive. None of this stuff is going to be, $10, $20. You're talking, 40 to 100 plus, depending on what accessories you want. So it's not a cheap gun, but at the end of the day, if you want a gun that's going to run, this is this is it. So you've got Glock plus reliability, I'll call it. Hammer fired for those of you that like the single action, double action, which I prefer as well. It will support a suppressor natively, comes with the taller sights, and you're not going to go wrong with this, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed with the money you pay for this gun. This is hands down my favorite handgun to shoot. The 9mm is not too expensive to shoot. If you're looking at using subsonic ammo, it can get a little bit pricey there, but still, I've put thousands upon thousands of rounds through this gun. I shoot everything from paper to steel with it, and it's still my favorite and the gun I'm most accurate with. I would say definitely go for the tactical because you will get the match trigger. The O-ring barrel I'm not too crazy about, and if you really care that it says tactical on the slide is up to you. It doesn't make a difference to me, but like I said, you can't go wrong with the HK USP. It's by far one of my favorite guns. So if you have any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching.